This is a migration and an invasion simultaneously. And the invasion is you taking advantage of the migration to invade and make it look like it's not an invasion. It's not that the things that we're doing to try to deter illegal migration are not effective. It is that we have not addressed the root causes of illegal migration. And there are two reasons that people are flooding across our southern border. You've heard me talk about these two things before. Number one is the push factors, what pushes them out of the country they're in, that they're fleeing from, and the pull factor, what it is that pulls people into the United States as opposed to them going to, Jamaica or somewhere else, right? Trinidad and Tobago. Why are they coming to the United States? Now, the push factors are not as big, they're not as important because there will always be push factors that motivate people to want to leave their homes. There will always be war, poverty, natural disaster, whatever, crime, that make people go, you know what? I don't want to live here anymore, and I want to go. I mean, we've got that within the United States. People are leaving California in droves and moving to Texas. People are leaving Chicago and New York because of taxes and moving down to Florida where the taxes are lower and it's warmer. Winter, is a push factor. That's one of the big reasons why my wife and I moved to Panama, because she doesn't like winter at all. Wanting to leave the place you live and go live somewhere else, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think we should try to stop people from wanting to go find a better life. But we should put processes in place to let them do so legally, safely. We shouldn't need to put gigantic barriers up. But part of the reason that we are having to put gigantic barriers up is literally because we have made the legal pathways to entry to the United States so tremendously difficult. We don't even have a legitimate system for letting people into the United States legally. And I'm not saying that it ought to be just let everybody in. I mean, we should have standards, yes. And if people come in and overstay their visa, then we should definitely enforce those standards and kick people out. But by being so unfriendly with the people who are trying to do it the legal way, we push people to do it the illegal way. But that's just one factor, okay? The next factor is the fact that we are not just punishing people who want to do it legally, we are rewarding people who do it illegally. When somebody comes here illegally, you've heard me talk about this a lot, there are all manner of programs that they can immediately take advantage of, from free education for their kids to free health care to all kind free food, to just plain cash given to them. My daughter-in-law is from Armenia. She's Armenian. And she married my son, but she's not an American citizen. And she doesn't have a visa. She didn't have a visa to come to the United States. So we were trying to get her a visa to come to the U.S. And it was ridiculous, the process to go through to do that. And even just to get a tourist visa was just like so difficult. And she had friends who were pregnant and they just disappeared from her school one day. And the next thing she saw was on their Facebook, they're in Texas. They had entered the United States illegally. They just flew to Mexico and entered illegally into the United States. Just like that. And now they're having their baby in the United States, and their baby will be an American citizen, just like that. Now, my daughter-in-law is pregnant. Her baby will be an American citizen because her husband is American, but she won't be American. And for her to come visit us or have Christmas with us in the United States was like pulling teeth. The various different ways that the United States and other countries in here are assisting the migrants is part of the pull factor, and we just need to eradicate those pull factors. We could actually make it more punitive on migrants by instituting a tax on remittances, the money that they send home back to the U.S. Back from the U.S. to their home country. I wouldn't be really excited about that because I move a lot of money from the United States down here to Panama, and I'd probably get caught up in that and have to pay, tax on that. But and it's not that there wouldn't be some ways that the migrants would find to get around it, but it certainly is one more thing we could do to make it harder. So if we stop the U.S. government from paying the migrants to come, that'd be a very big help to stopping this illegal migration. Number two, we should put measures in place that make it punitive for them when they do come illegally. Meaning, if you get caught here and you are an illegal migrant, you should immediately be taken to a camp and scheduled for deportation. Because if you come here and you don't register as an asylee, like if you're a Godaway, for example, you don't get to make that asylum claim after the fact. After you get stopped for speeding, after you run somebody over, after you get arrested for having illegal drugs. If you get caught here, first of all, we should empower all police, all law enforcement to check to see if somebody is here illegally. And if they are here illegally and they're not registered with the U.S. government, then that's an easy one right there. You go to a camp, you're scheduled for deportation immediately, and you can never get asylum here ever again. We can add to that by reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy for the people who do want to claim asylum, because we have a multi-year wait right now for an asylum hearing. We just do what Donald Trump did and force people to remain in Mexico or their home country until they have an asylum hearing scheduled. And then they can come to the U.S. for their asylum hearing if they want, or do it remotely. They don't even have to come to the United States. And so that way, if they do not get asylum, they're not allowed in. And they would have two choices. They can apply for the legal method, or they can jump the fence, get caught, and get deported, and you can never come back. So we can reinstitute the Remain in Mexico policy. We can finish building the wall to make it more of it. Really, in the greater scheme of things, would be very inexpensive for us to finish building the wall that Trump started in order to make it much more difficult for massive numbers of people to come through. Now, the reason that people are coming through the wall now, or they're actually cutting the wall down, is because it's not being enforced at all. Just because you build a wall doesn't mean that makes it impossible for people to come over or to get in. They can still go over, under, or through, but it makes it more costly and time-consuming, and is much more of a hassle for them to do that. Anything you do to make it more difficult means less people come. The overall numbers of people coming will diminish if we finish the wall. That's all. We can also put pressure on countries like Ecuador and Nicaragua. We could put sanctions on them. We could do things like that to encourage them to look. I don't care if you have a lax visa policy. That's fine. It's your country. You do what you want. We could put pressure on them to at least vet the people that are coming in. And if they're obviously coming to live in the Western Hemisphere, then they could make it more difficult for those people to come and not allow them in. With Panama, we could come to Panama and we could offer to assist Panama in shutting down the Darien Gap. They could do it. They can't put a fence along their border or anything like that. It's far too wild out there. But there are choke points that they could man, and they could stop the migrants from coming north out of the Darien Gap. And Panama could just say, if you come into our country illegally, you will stay in the Darien for at least a year. Something along those lines, in a nasty camp that you're not going to like. And if they did that, when they did that during COVID, it stopped. It absolutely stopped. Nobody was coming through the Darien during COVID, because Panama said if you come through during COVID, then you're going to have to stay in the Darien until COVID is over. Or stopping the border, it never fails. It never fails. When I do a live and backup guy shows up, even in Panama, the backup guy, beeper guy, shows up once again. There he is, and he's going to back up for the next 20 minutes. Almost guarantee it. So